upstate South Carolina. How y'all doing? Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is The Fan Upstate. What's shaking, y'all? I am Rob Brown. Directly across the metaphorical glass from me, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, the Content Cash Cow, the Alpha and the Omega of The Fan Upstate. Hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the Great One, Lonzo at the helm. Happy Friday, Zoe, and happy college football kickoff week.
Yay, it's week 0 in college football. Woo!
You know, 0 is not a counting number, right? So technically we can't count it as a week because it's not a counting number. When you start counting, you don't start at 0. You're already at 0. That's the default position. It is week 0 from the moment that the college football national championship ends. It is week 0.
All right, so
because you don't count it.
There are executives with much higher pay grades than you and I who have decided that this is week 0.
Somebody gets paid more than me. Does that make them right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Only if they're signing. If the big boss comes to me and goes, hey, you got to call it week 0 from now on, I'll call it week 0. But I'm not calling it a week 0. It is week 1. There's only one problem that is presented with week 1, and that is that one team has 2 games within it.
All right, college football season doesn't start till one of the teams I pull for actually starts playing. But that's just a personal thing.
Right. I get that.
I will be watching Saturday, especially the game from Ireland, because that just it interests me.
Well, what time's that game kick? I think like 9 a.m.
I thought it was midday.
Was it? Let me look. I've got the schedule. I just don't have it in front of me.
Yeah. I'm really going to be watching it when I don't know when it comes on.
It turns out I've been busy this week, Lonzo. All right.
No, it's not about me.
Oh, it's at 12:30. You're right. It's at 12:30 from Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland.
But 12:30 is at
our time, p.m.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
12:30 p.m. So just afternoon. Noon is Austin P versus Western Kentucky from Bowling Green. All geeked about Austin P and Western Kentucky.
Well, I told you one time that I got lost and ended up at Western Kentucky University in the pouring rain.
The Hilltoppers.
And I had dreamt.
Is it on top of a hill?
It is.
It is.
It is. We were going to Mammoth Caves, which is like one of the largest cave systems in the United States, and maybe in North America. It was fun.
I had a
blind goldfish and stuff.
Yeah, man, evolution's weird. I had a friend. I had a team. Well, I was a friend. Mike Doe.
He's kind of like a guy I knew, you know.
Well, I played basketball with him, right?
Does that make him a friend? If you just happen to be playing a pickup game and LeBron showed up, does that make him your friend?
I played on a high school basketball team with him.
There we go.
7'2" tall, and you can't teach that. Mike Doe went to Western Kentucky, full-ride scholarship, would have been NBAer, decided to quit because he just didn't love the game of basketball. I was the practice dummy who got dunked on by Mike Doe repeatedly. There's only so many times a dude can dunk on you. And Mike did the Shaq dunk, where when he dunked, he would swing forward and, let's just say, lift his knees up in the air. You know what I'm talking about? Well, when he's 7'2" and I'm 6'3", you can assume kind of where that put me in the world of body positioning. Mike did that all the time. But he was also the solo nicest human being in the history of planet Earth. Like, just the best dude. So it's like, this guy would swing his junk at me as he's dunking on me 15 to 25 times a day for 2 seasons. I had to go through this. Nicest dude in the world. Goes to college at Western Kentucky, plays for the Hilltoppers. He lasts like 6 regular season games and he quits the team. Right? So he comes back home and he came back. It was my senior year. I was a year behind him. He comes back my senior year and he comes to one of the games. And of course, Mike Doe was a legend, right? Because he brought us my junior year to the state championship game, which we lost by 1. And Mike scored on the wrong goal to open the game. So, no big deal. But he was an icon. Anyway, he comes to a high school game that I was in as a senior. And I caught up with him. I'm like, Mike, Man, I'm proud of you for making the decision, but like, what made you decide to quit? And he goes, dude, I just got there and I realized I didn't love college basketball. He's like, I wanted to focus on being a better student. I want to own a business. I want to do this. I want to do that. I didn't want to focus on basketball. I don't love the game. And I said, bro, you're 7'2". You would have an automatic ride to the NBA, right? You can be a bad basketball player, but if you're 7'2", you're going to the league. Because I don't need you to play basketball. I need you to stand next to the rim. I'm going to throw it at the rim. You're just going to catch it and turn around and drop it. And I need you to grab every rebound. He's like, I know, man. I just didn't want to play. I'm like, all right, cool. I get that. But quick question, Mike. Did you need to junk on and sling your junk at me for 2 years to then not go to the league, right? If you go to the league, I get to go, hey, at least all those times that he dunked on me repeatedly, at least all those times that he swung at me, if you get my drift, at least I helped him prep for the league, right? At least I prepared him to make it to the show and get on TV and go up against Braun. Nope. 6 games at Western Kentucky, called it a career because he wanted to go into fashion design. I mean, I can't get mad at him for it. But also, why didn't you quit when you were a sophomore so I didn't have to get molested every day for 2 basketball seasons? You jerk.
It's a missed opportunity on your part. Just because he didn't like basketball doesn't mean that he didn't have a future in professional wrestling. You could have been his manager.
I gotta keep it. I was not a big wrestling guy in high school. I was a big wrestling guy in middle school, kind of drifted away from it in high school, and then came back to it about a year deep into college. Or else I absolutely would. No, that's not even true. Mike Doe was as nice as he was as skinny as well. Mike Doe was 7'2", Lonzo. I'm not kidding you. 7'2", 205. The guy was a rail. And the biggest problem, part of the reason I think he wanted out at Western Kentucky was because when he got there, what's the first thing the Hilltoppers say? Bro, we need to put about 85 pounds of muscle mass on you, cat.
See, my wife's late brother was 7'2" and 400 pounds. So, yeah, there's a difference. That was a big dude.
Yeah.
But at 400 pounds at 7'2", really wasn't like what you would expect if he was like 5'3".
Yeah, when you think 7'2", you think Shaq. You think thick. You think Yao Ming.
Yeah.
You think thick boy. Mike Doe was legit. He was probably 205, 210 tops, right? Let me put it this way. In high school, I could push Mike Doe around at 7'2", which is why he didn't go to a Carolina or a Duke. He wasn't thick enough yet. So the plan for him would have been go to Western Kentucky for a couple years, put on about 85 pounds, get closer to 3 bills, and then transfer over to a big school, transfer to a Carolina or a Duke or a Kentucky or a Kansas, whatever. But he got there, put on about 15 pounds, played 6 games, and quit. I'm like, all right. So basically, you spent 2 years tormenting me in practice as your personal dunking dummy to not go to the league. Awesome, Mike. Awesome. Anyway, Mike's good people. Good people. If anybody back home that's listening to the show still knows where Mike Doe is, tell him Rob Brown said what up. Miss that guy. Do not miss getting dunked on over and over and over and over. And it's football season, y'all. We got games tomorrow. Tomorrow. I love you. Tomorrow. You're only a day away. We open it up at noon. Austin P at Western Kentucky. At 12:30 from Dublin, Ireland, Nebraska is at Northwestern. Idaho State at UNLV at 3:30. UConn at Utah State at 4. Wyoming at Illinois at 4 o'clock. At 5 p.m. on the ACC net, Duquesne travels down to get a paycheck. Play Florida State.
Hey, what's the ACC net? What is that? Do people actually have that? Do people actually pay extra for that?
They do, but that's only because I was on it last year, and people were like, "Uh-oh, Rob Brown's showing up." You know.
Yeah, but you were just in the background though. People knew that.
Shut up! I was on it.
So it's just
on it.
Just a shot at eye candy.
I was on it for 2 days.
I'm gonna pay for it.
Just in case.
He might just show up in the background.
I was on it again this year too. They had who was it? I think McLean was on there doing ACC net shots from it, and it was
they
better than last year.
had ACC Karen. Could you quiet down?
We can hear your voice picking up on our microphones. Could you lower the volume, please? Sure thing, Karen.
And then what Rob should have done, although it hadn't happened yet, was go, Baker! I
mean, it would have made sense in ACC Media Days, but still would have been great. He wasn't a Panther yet.
He wasn't. That's what I said. You couldn't have done it yet.
Wasn't a Panther yet. Duquesne at FSU at 5 p.m. Charlotte at FAU will go at 7, 8:15. FAMU at UNC. North Texas at UTEP at 9, 10 o'clock. Nevada at New Mexico State. And we wrap it up with not a left coast game, but a lefter than the left coast game. When the Doors, Vandy is at Hawaii at 10:30 p.m. tomorrow night.
So what level of college football fan do you have to be to make it an all-day thing tomorrow? I mean, you have to be a certain level. No. You have to be a certain level to go, Duquesne, I'm in.
Duquesne! I mean, Vandy at Hawaii at 10:30 is the best you've got tomorrow, right? What's the best game tomorrow? Nebraska Northwestern?
Yeah, that's the best one. Because it's a division game. It's in Ireland, so you got some spectacle going on around there, and it's probably going to be some pretty good football.
You're going to hear something funny. This is not anything that a lot of you guys are going to care about, but it makes me LOL. So in Ireland, if you are learning how to drive, right? You learn to drive in your own car. But when you are learning to drive, in order to tell other drivers around you that you are a new driver, they stick, Lonzo, a magnet on the back of your car. This magnet, about yay big, it's about a 1.5 by 1.5 feet, right? It is white with a block red N on it. It is literally the Nebraska logo. It's a coincidence. But if you're in Ireland learning to drive, they stick a white magnet with a block red N on the back of it onto your car to drive around town. And there are Nebraska fans. And I got to tell you, if I'm a Nebraska fan, I absolutely would have done this. Nebraska fans who were like, yo, I'm going to go watch the Huskers play in Ireland, but I'll go ahead and make a vacation out of it, right? I'll fly over there a week early. I'll go to the game Saturday. I'll fly back on Sunday or Monday. There were Nebraska fans all week long that were on Twitter putting up pictures of these magnets like, yo, Ireland loves the Huskers, baby. They love the Huskers. And then Irish folks started being like, yeah, we don't know who or what you are. That just means they're learning how to drive.
See,
Nebraska fans got confused.
I was gonna make a joke that they put an N on there for new, but I didn't know they actually put an N on there. So is it the N to stand for new?
I guess that is what Reddit told me.
And why is it red? Is it like a scarlet letter? I mean, technically it is a scarlet letter if it's red. So I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's called a learner driver magnet. Let me see here. Let's see if I can pull it up.
The letter N's pretty specific. I mean, they had to choose that for a reason.
I don't know. And it may not just be. Oh, so N is one thing, and then I guess once you, it's an L to start, and then it upgrades. I don't know. I don't know or care how it works. I just know there's a lot of confused Huskers right now. Oh, it's for novice. You're a novice driver.
So basically noob. Okay, so
yeah.
So I'm gonna go with noob for the end. Yeah.
I'm going to get you one of these magnets to start handing to T2 every time he blows it on Saturdays.
No, I just need a T-shirt.
Novice!
I need a T-shirt. Here you go. Wear this today.
I'm absolutely in love with a bunch of Husker fans sitting at the house right now, or sitting in Ireland right now, like, yo, Ireland loves the Huskers, baby. No.
So if there's a line of cars going to the Nebraska game with ends on their back to a bunch of people just get out of the way.
On the stream screen right now, that's the sticker.
That's a serious block end.
Yeah, it's a block end. That is the Nebraska logo. That's the helmet logo.
If I was there, I would just turn it.
Yeah.
I'd make it to a Z. Zorro on board.
I love it. I love the confused Huskers fans. Is Nebraska back? In Ireland they are. Nebraska's not back, by the way. They're not. They're not back.
So who would you pick to win that game?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I've got a week 1 betting guide coming up later.
Wow.
I know.
So I can't wait for that to find out if you would actually pick Nebraska.
Fun fact, Rob, Gaffney was founded by Michael O'Gaffney. They dropped the O, and it became Gaffney of today. Lots of Irish ties here. You know, I am of Irish descent. It's true, lad. I am. O'Gaffney, Michael O'Gaffney. Why'd they drop the O then? Why not be from OGHS? O'Gaffney High, baby. I'm curious. Texas said, so there are people that drive around with a giant L on their car. Yeah, I saw a Gator license plate out front. Boom! Got him! I felt good about that one.
Well done.
I felt good about that one.
Yeah. Someone who were recently moved here from Texas just moved their head just slightly.
Texas says, ACC Karen sells like Bill Lumberg. Yeah. I'm going to need you to lower your voice. Yeah. You slept with Lundberg? Office Space reference. I approve. My name is Rob Brown, and I approve this message. Texas says, that was a missed opportunity for you to stand toe-to-toe with The Undertaker. 7'2", and you can't teach that. You know what you can teach? How to play basketball. He just didn't want to. I'm not mad at a guy for not wanting to play ball. It's not his fault he was 7'2". All I'm saying is, Mike, if you could have spared me, Mike, about 9 inches of tall that you didn't need, Mike, I'd have gone to the league. Mike.
Does this require therapy?
Nah.
Okay. All right.
I'm over it.
We got room for a couch over there.
Bro, my sophomore year of high school, when this dunkathon, the Rob Brown dunkathon started, was 21 years ago. I've settled in at this point. You know what I mean? I've settled in.
No. High school scars never heal. There's some things for high school for me, which was a lot longer ago than for you, that I still remember. Those things never go away. I'll forget people's names, and I'll still remember some shame from high school.
Texas says, so wait, Rob's my long-lost brother from Ireland. I mean, maybe. We might be related. Do the 23andMe. Let's see what comes up, big dog.
Did it used to be O'Brown?
No, we were the O'Cronins, which eventually got shortened to O'Cronin, and then when they moved here, dropped to just Cronin.
How am I not surprised that you know all that?
Yeah, well, we did the research. I also found out, this is true, I also found out via a cousin who did you know that cousin that becomes obsessed with genealogy?
Yeah, right? I have one of those cousins. I haven't read the book yet. I don't know if it's actually, she was working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Yeah, she did
she was also a school teacher, so I mean, you know.
You gotta be. She traced it back something like 18 or 19 generations for us. And I'm trying to remember, there were like 2 or 3. I've got royal blood in me somewhere. I don't remember what it was. It was some real crap leader, though, right? Edward the Loser. I don't remember what it was, but it was some crap king that I have ancestry with. But we did find that we have some distant cousins, like 14th removed cousins that own a pub in Dublin. And we wrote them. We were like, hey, turns out we're related. We're in America, and we haven't been to Ireland in 100 years, but we're related. And this guy popped us back an email, and he's like, when you make it to Dublin, hit me up, let me know. I will give you the works. We will get you hooked up at the pub. We will get you an apartment to crash at for a week. Come to Dublin. Let's go. Like, immediately one email. I'm like, hey, I'm like 23 steps distantly related to you. He's like, I got all the Guinness you need, mate.
So an Irish guy was looking for it's a stereotype, but an Irish guy looking for another reason to celebrate, and you're shocked.
I gave him one.
Way to go.
Yeah.
You brightened someone's day. Probably would have brightened it more if you actually made your way over there.
I will. Ireland's next on the list. Ireland is next on the list. For
aren't you a little worried? I mean, because some people are really obsessed with things that when the genealogy kept going back, that you would find out that you were descended from someone really, really bad.
Now, I find it interesting, right? Like, I would find it interesting.
Like your ancient ancestor was Attila the Hun or something.
Well, I mean what is it like something like 12% of every person on Earth are related to Genghis Khan, right? Because he had so many women.
Him and Wilt Chamberlain. They're big.
Yeah, it's like 10% of the planet. Like 1 out of every 10 people is related to Genghis Khan. And if you think about it in that way, that means 1 out of every 10 people alive is related to each other, which is wild to me, right? I'm curious. Like, if somebody came up to me and they're like, I was related to Vlad the Impaler, I'd be like, yo, that's actually kind of dope. Like, tell me about it, right? Mainly because I'm going to absolutely want to do the research to find out what else. I don't know. It's fascinating to me. You know who I'm not related to? Any Nebraska fans. Let's talk about football when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is at the helm. We'll talk some college football coming up very briefly. Running through where the Atlanta Braves stand right now, because after a sweep of Philly, taking 2 of 3 from Houston and 3 of 4 from the Mets, and getting a little bit of help from the New York Yankees, ladies and gentlemen, your Atlanta Braves are now 2 games back in the NL East. We're going to break that down and a whole lot more when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're you. And you're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Skrilla, Andrew, what's up, fellas? Skrilla said, morning, boys. Football Friday, soccer Saturday. Skrilla, you're going to kill me, as is everybody else. I can't make the game tomorrow night. For the first time since I moved here, I have to miss back-to-back Triumph homers. I am not thrilled about it, but it's not up to me, unfortunately. So you'll have to hold it down again, buddy.
Trust me, it's not the only thing that he's canceling on.
No, absolutely. I was supposed to host D&D night for Upstate Pulse, and I had to cancel that too. Not great. Andrew, Steven, what's up, fellas? Welcome in. Here, let me go with the one you spelled correctly.
Maybe it's an acronym for something. I don't know.
DIYs. Greatest in.
I don't know. The game crashed on him. He finally gave up on it. So I don't know if he'll be jealous or not, Steven. We'll see. So I'm guessing you didn't get to finish watching that episode since someone was in there. She-Hulk? Yeah.
No, I just started it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Last night.
It's pretty good.
You know what I did? I stayed here till 7:45 to make sure the station didn't blow up. It didn't. And then I went home and I ate shrimp tacos. And then I went to bed at 9:30. And I was out at like 10.
Good for you, because again, thank you for helping out. And you've got a big weekend, got a big night tonight.
Got a big call on Friday night. Got to be up at 9 to do the Saturday morning scramble tomorrow. Then I've got our podcast to recap tonight's game. Then I've got a 4-hour baseball gambling show. Then I've got a function that I have to attend. Sunday is the only day that I have off. And because both of us have worked hard this week, Courtney wants to do something all day Sunday. So I get Sunday off. I get to spend it with her, which I'm very excited about. But we're going to be doing stuff. Ugh.
Well, pretty soon football, NFL will be on Sunday, and you'll need to work.
Yeah. One more. We got one more Sunday off. I mean, again, we get to call watching football work.
We do.
So we're very fortunate, but it is work. Because somebody asked me once, like, why do you really get to call it work? And it's like, yes, because I don't get to just like sit there and enjoy the game. Like, I've actually got to pay attention to what's happening. Yes, Skrilla, I am too busy, my man. I don't disagree with you at all. Here's the thing. I would like to get rich and famous. And the only way to do that is work. So I work.
Unless, you inherit.
Which I did not. So
yeah,
I work.
I mean, it's still a possibility. You were nice to someone along the way, and they decide, you know
the
what?
Eccentric multi-millionaire.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time.
That one guy I met on the bus that day.
So be kind. You never know who you're, talking to. I don't know. I'm a little worried because someone was disappointed that you were going to be on the show and not me. So he's got something planned. So he's going to hit me tonight.
Today? Oh.
No, yesterday. He's like, I thought it was just going to be you all day. I'm like, okay. All right. So I'm ready. I think I'm ready. He's going to get me today. He knows he's got me for 4 hours. He's going to try to get me today. But I'm alert. I may not be like at 5 o'clock, but. Is it okay if you look at yourself and you see Sam Kinison? Because that's it's just a problem, I think, maybe.
Captain America Chris Evans down the hall and I were talking about stand-up comedy today. And like where stand-up comedy is, where it's going, and where it has been. Who is your favorite stand-up comedian of all time, Zoe? Who's the GOAT tier stand-up comedian? Like if you could only pick one.
This is gonna be weird. It's a tie for me. And no, it's
I accept it.
It's the opposite end of the spectrum.
Okay.
Number one would be Eddie Murphy.
All right.
And number two would be Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright was in our discussion today.
Because you see what I mean by opposite end?
100%.
One is high energy, and the other one is just
Stephen Wright.
Yeah. And I saw Stephen Wright is one of two comics that I've actually seen live, and it was great. I try not to go to comedy clubs because I'm the guy they pick out to make fun of, and I'm not going to be that guy.
Love it. So this was the conversation was like, do you prefer? I love Bill Burr, Bill Burr's got that angry edge to his comedy. I adore George Carlin. George Carlin is probably number one on my list, right? But I also love a good one-liner comedian. Mitch Hedberg is my GOAT. Mitch Hedberg was the best.
So I think comedy is a little bit like music. It's a mood thing. What are you in the mood for? You got your high energy guy, you got your middle of the road guy or girl, you got your low energy but still funny like Stephen Wright. And I think it's just the mood that you're in that day.
I spilled spot remover on my dog. Now he's gone. What? Stephen Wright was so good. I don't know why I felt the need to. Why I didn't even know how this came up.
Because I said I look like Sam Kinison.
That's right. You do look like Sam Kinison. Anyway,
I don't have a trench coat. If I did,
Hey, you know why you should go to? You know why you should go to Spotify or iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher and subscribe to the Views from Mint Street podcast that Lonzo and I do? Let me tell you why. Lonzo, on that show that we posted, went out yesterday morning?
Yes.
Yesterday morning, episode 1 is up, in which we broke down the offseason, Baker getting named the starter, why it took so long to name him the starter.
And by the way, just really quick, if you don't want to listen to the entire thing, it's split up into 3 segments. Yep. So there are actually 4 that posted yesterday.
The full episode or the 3 segments, and you can listen to them as you wish. As you wish. We talked about Princess Bride today, too. What a day we're having. Anyway, you should go download that podcast, and here is the reason why. In that podcast, Lonzo, towards the end of that podcast, you and I had a discussion where I brought up a guy that was drafted this year, not really talked about all that much, not really discussed all that much, not really brought into the forefront of America's attention, making his entrance into Charlotte. From the University of South Carolina, drafted in the 6th round as a young man by the name of Shi Smith. You and I had a conversation about Shi Smith, about how Shi has looked really good in camp this year, about how I think while Shi will not overtake Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore, that we both think that Shi Smith's got a really good chance at becoming the number 3 wide receiver, and not just becoming the number 3 wide receiver, but excelling as the number 3 wide receiver in this offense, especially with a guy who likes to improvise like Baker does. Shi Smith becomes the wide receiver that has the least amount of tension paid to him, but a guy that is very consistent in terms of route running, in terms of recognizing spotted defenses where he can sit down in zones and find himself an opportunity, and is maybe the most consistent pass catcher on this team, including Moore and Anderson. You and I both believe that Shi Smith could be the guy that steps up into that number 3 wide receiver spot, runs out of the slot, and shocks some people, to the point that I was texting a buddy last night who was asking me for fantasy football draft picks help. I was like, I had to tell you, my guy, if you make it to like the 7th round and you got a spot for a wide receiver, Shi Smith might not be a bad pick. It's a risk. It's a risk pick. But he might not be a bad pick because I think he's going to do good things in the offense. Welp. Do you know who Matt Rule had some words for at practice the last 2 days? Terence Marshall Jr., former LSU Tiger, who's playing in Carolina now. And when Marshall got picked up by the Panthers, there were a lot of folks, myself included. Rashad Beard was in that list. But there were a lot of folks who thought that Terence Marshall Jr. was going to kind of be in that spot that Shi Smith is starting to occupy. Now, in fairness, Terence Marshall Jr. has been dealing with hamstring injuries. Problem is, he's been dealing with hamstring injuries since he got to the show, right? Through the first 3 or 4 games of last year, Marshall caught 131 yards through 4 games, which for a number 3 wide receiver, you're picking up 30-ish yards a game. Ain't bad. ended the year last year with 181 yards. So over the back 14 or 13 games, he basically picked up another 40 total yards of receiving. Not ideal. Not ideal for the number 3. Now you do have Zylstra there, who's also kind of playing in that role. You did have Morton Anderson, and you had Darnold as your quarterback. So it's still not a great look. Matt Rule got caught on camera saying, guys, we need Terence Marshall to start stepping up. We need Marshall to start acting like a wide receiver. We need Marshall to get himself together. We need Marshall to pull his life together. We need Terence Marshall Jr. to start being a guy. Well, Shi Smith has been taking snaps away from Terence Marshall Jr. And yesterday, the day after we said it on the Views from Mint Street pod, Matt Rule came out and basically was like, yep, this guy's he's not holding up his end of the bargain. And now there are multiple reporters covering the team out of Charlotte that think Terence Marshall Jr. is on the trade block. Think he's trade bait. That means two things. Number one, they want to make a move on Marshall while they can attribute the struggles to injury. And number two, it means they got a guy they believe they can plug into that spot and receive roughly the same amount of production. Shi Smith's that guy. Called it. I said Shi Smith, I said over the offseason. We said on the Views from Mint Street pod that dropped on Wednesday. Look, Shi Smith is going to be a playmaker for this team. He's not going to end with 1,000 yards receiving. He's not going to end with 20, 21, 22 touchdowns. But he is a dude that could get to 700 or 800 yards receiving. He is a dude that could get to 11 or 12 touchdowns. He is a dude that could be the number 3 wide receiver, could open up the field, and could either draw attention away from Morton Anderson, or if the attention stays on Morton Anderson, is a guy that could fill in and drop into the spots that are vacated to protect Moore and Anderson and take advantage of that with a Baker Mayfield who is an improvisational. Words are hard.
He's an improviser.
He's an improviser. He's a guy that could step in and take full advantage of what defenses will have to do either to contain him or contain Robbie and DJ and open up spots on the field for him to sit down, make a consistent catch, get a couple of yaks, and then go to the ground and save possession, right? Shi Smith is a guy that Lonzo and I both, on a pod that dropped yesterday, said this dude is going to have a bigger role in the offense than anybody thinks. And the next day, Lonzo, the reports start coming out that Terence Marshall Jr. could be on the trade block. That means we were right.
Absolutely, we were right. The other thing is, I'm curious, and there's probably no way to know this for sure. Is this the reason why Shi Smith is doing so well? Is he gets it more because he's been in the league more? Is he a product of the fact that this new offense fits his style better? Or is it Baker Mayfield, or is it a combination of all those things?
I think there's a couple of different things at play. I think first off, like we mentioned, and this may not be his fault. I mean, some guys are just prone to injury, right? But Marshall has been dealing with hammies, like quite a bit of hammies, and that's a problem. Terence Marshall Jr. has been dealing with hammies that have limited his ability to get out on the field and play. Number two, Zylstra has been consistent as a hands guy. Right? He's not blowing anybody away with the tape, but he's been consistent as a hands guy. And there's something to be said for that. Number three is Shi has picked up the offense, and Shi is being consistent. I want, as my number 3 wide receiver, I want consistency, yeah? I don't need a guy as my slot WR. I don't need a slot wide receiver to go out there and put on a clinic. I mean, it'd be great, but I need a guy who's intelligent. I need a guy who understands how to read a defense. I need a guy who's able to sit down in the pocket I need a guy who's able to sit down in the pocket, understand the offense, have that connection with his quarterback to know, all right, Shy's running the dig because Robbie is running the inside flag. They're running cover 2. He is going to pull the safety back. McCaffrey's coming out of the backfield on a wheel. And because of that, that means that spot behind the linebacker in front of the diving safety is going to be a soft spot in the zone. Bake knows it. Shy knows it. Shy goes in that direction. And the next thing you know, Shy Smith is just catching the football. I don't think Terence Marshall Jr. got that yet. And again, he has been hampered by the hammy, so it may not be something he's had the time or ability to grasp because he's been banged up more than he hasn't, right? But in that spot, I absolutely need Shy to just get it. Just get it. Just understand it. And the fact that the trade reports are now coming out that Terence Marshall Jr. is on the block means Shy gets it. There are going to be 2 Gamecocks on the field for the Panthers this year that are going to be big-time playmakers. One on both sides of the ball. Shy Smith is going to be an outstanding slot wide receiver. And J.C. Horn has already showed up and showed out. He picked 6 Baker. The day after Baker was named the starter, J.C. picked 6'd him. The dude gets it. Shy gets it. I love it. I'm here for it. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1. We got some college football to talk about. We got to talk about this fight that took place at Rams practice. I say Rams because it was Aaron Donald that took off his helmet and started swinging it at dudes. Not a great look. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Phone lines open, 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. And the Preferred Home Services text line's there for you, too. 71307. Start your text with FAN. 71307. Start your text with FAN. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Steven says, Mom says, function, is that a code for baby shower? It is not. It is not. It is a thing that the lady friend has asked me to attend. She very rarely asks me to attend things. So when she does, it becomes a priority for me. Ben says, I'm not doing stuff on a Sunday. I usually, if I'm going to do something on a Sunday, it's going to be like a brewery, right? Like it's going to be like something fun and engaging. We went hiking last Sunday, which wasn't bad. We went up to Paris Mountain and really enjoyed it. We just did the loop around Lake Placid, which was nice. We're probably going to go back out there at some point and do the Sulphur Springs loop, which is a little higher up on the hill. Looking forward to that. And, of course, that would be the game you go to, Keegan. Of course that would be the game you finally decide to grace us with your presence, too. Thanks, buddy. Ben said as long as it's the version of Sam Kinison when he was alive. Yeah, that is the preferred version. Ben, I agree. Mitch Hedberg was the GOAT, dude. Hedberg was absolutely the best. Skrilla agrees. Hedberg was the best. The one-liners of Mitch Hedberg were just so out of left field, man. Just so out of left field. I loved it. Who's the slapstick comedy GOAT? Is it Chris Farley? I think it's Farley, right? It's got to be Farley. Is Chris Farley as funny as Chris Farley was if Chris Farley was skinny?
No.
I don't think so either.
Would you consider Belushi slapstick?
No. I love
He did a lot of slapstick on SNL.
Oh, I agree. But I don't. I think he was a comedian who could do slapstick, not a slapstick comedian. Farley was a slapstick comedian who could also be funny.
All right, the Three Stooges are the ultimate slapstick comedians. So I'm sure I'll probably get a strongly worded email about this, but I am curious. Out of the 4 dudes on the Fan Upstate, if we were the Three Stooges, who would be Mo? I already know that I'm Curly. I'm fine with that. Who would be Mo? I think Shimp gets a bad rap. I mean, he did his best. I'm going to go with Diesel as Mo. I'm going to go with Diesel as Mo. I am. I'll be interested to see what Rob thinks. Whatever you do not text Marcus Shimp later on because, I'm going to be on that show for the full show today, and, I'll pay for that. I'll pay for that. You'll make me pay for that. So before you get to your question, I want to tell you why things are being. I said if the 4 guys on the Fan were the Three Stooges, who'd be Mo? That's messed up, Steven. No, I'm Curly, man. Come on.
Yeah, no, now Steven's going to start apologizing for insults. Now he's going to do it.
So who do you think is Mo? Is there a Mo? By the way, I'm not going to confirm, deny, agree, or disagree with the fact that Steven says Mark is definitely Shimp. I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's probably the most accurate one. Would I be Mo?
See, I think Diesel's Mo.
Yeah.
Because Mo's serious. And out of the 4 of us, I think Diesel's the most serious. I think some people would think that it's maybe Mark. I don't know. I mean, serious. Mo was the straight man for the whole thing. He also got to hurt everybody. I mean, there's that. That works sometimes. You can have multiple Curlys. It's okay. Because there was Curly and I think Curly Joe. I think it was the other Curly. Just kind of, a copy of Curly, but not really Curly. Nobody wants to be Larry, though.
Nobody wants to be Larry.
Nobody wants to be Larry. Larry was actually pretty funny. But he was like the in-between.
Yeah.
All right, you had a question. We got like 10 seconds. I'm sorry I derailed it.
Break. It's about She-Hulk. It's not serious at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the conversation we were just having is extremely serious and would be if you were Mo, but we're not Mo, so.
Since we only got a couple of minutes here, I'm going to update you on the Sir Big Spur name change. I feel like we can say it because Mark said it yesterday, and he's still employed.
Yeah, but he gets away with some things that some other people don't. He just does. I mean, sometimes you're like, man, I can never get away with that, and then other times you're like, well, I can't believe he got away with that. But that's fine.
I feel like we're safe to say the name that is running away with the poll
and trending, and it's just stupid.
You are in line with your arch nemesis Tim Frisbee on this one.
I think he's thinking of Diesel. I'm not his nemesis.
So, we told you yesterday, it really took traction on Wednesday. I brought it up on Mark's show. We started running with it. The state newspaper put up a poll. where they asked the internet to select what they think the next name of Sir Big Spur should be. They got to change the name because the original owners of Sir Big Spur are acting like losers and taking that name away because reasons. Well, they put up on the state newspaper, put up a poll where they asked fans to select what they would like the next name of Sir Big Spur to be. And I can't decide if the name that is the runaway favorite on that poll right now, Lonzo, I can't decide if it has been selected by South Carolina fans trying to make a point or everybody else fans who are just mocking it.
No, this was someone at the paper throwing that in there because they're a fan of another team. And now it's running because
No, I agree.
why did this make the finals of? Yeah, this is ridiculous.
I agree with you. However, it still is running away with the poll, like 10,000 votes to 200 in second place.
It's a troll. I mean, if you and I were putting something up, of course we're going to pick something like that because we know everybody's going to pick that.
Right. So
This is Bodie McBoatface all over again. It absolutely is. You put something ridiculous up somewhere and then feign shock when it's the one that people are clicking on.
So they put up an article where they were asking fans to pick what the next name of the rooster should be. First place has 11,655 votes. Second place, Lonzo, has 752, outpacing it by 11,000 votes. Second place is Cluck Norris. First place, Cock Commander. 11,655 votes for first, 752 for second.
By the way, not into drinking games, but if you are, count how many times Mark Ryan says that on today's show.
And then check yourself into the hospital for alcohol poisoning. Quick break. We're back after this. Rob, Lonzo, you. It's the Fed Upstate.
Trying to use reverse psychology here. We'll see if it works. Because if he's listening, then I'm just not going to say it. I'll prove him wrong. And then I don't get to hear it. It's not going to work, but I got to try. That's the real reason he was disappointed I was leaving yesterday, because he wanted to say that as many times as he could to make me feel uncomfortable. Ooh. Report AEW told to tone down language by Warner Brothers Discovery.
Ooh. Spicy.
This is according to Fightful. And the picture on the tweet is Moxley flipping off CM Punk. If you're told to tone down the language, is that considered language? Flipping someone off.
I would say that doesn't make the cut.
It is I don't know if that means the same thing in sign language, but I'm guessing it probably does.
I think it does.
So then technically it's a language.
I mean,
If I'm a higher up, that's what I'm going with.
yeah, I get it.
I mean, So I try to get my sports headphones to work with my laptop, and I can't get it to work.
You're trying to wait. Say that again.
All right, so I got some in-ear sports things.
Okay.
Odyssey issued.
Ooh.
That was my gift.
Ooh.
You know, we all got gifts, and we had to
Yeah.
pick a gift, and that's the one I wanted. But I can't get it to work with my laptop. I wanted to use that for the, when we
Recording the pod.
Yeah, because then I can just let my hair cover it, and you can't see it. And it just, But I may have to go full-on gamer because if I can't, because I can make those work because it actually has a USB thing to plug in. It's just not recognizing it. Chris showed me how to do it. It's Bluetooth capable. It's just not acting like it. It will notice all the Dish Network stuff and everything else, but it won't notice that, and that's all Bluetooth. It's not bad, Keegan. Definitely dropping little hints and jokes all over the place, especially this episode. And I'm liking her dad.
You know what? I don't necessarily need every comic book show to be like just fighting start to finish.
Yeah, there are some people that I get some of the political reasons why some people don't like it, but I think there's enough of a mix that but there's going to be more. There was plenty of fighting, I guess, in the first episode. Yeah. I mean, the Hulks fought each other,
which was dope.
It was. But it is exactly as advertised. Yep. It's a lawyer comedy.
It's a fun little lawyer show.
Yeah.
She literally opened the show by saying it's a fun little lawyer show.
Yeah. Hey, did you see that Vince McMahon's out on town?
I saw that, hanging out with Cena.
And some woman. Shocker.
Well, it's no secret that Vince and Linda aren't
right. I mean,
together.
But he never would have done that during.
Oh no, not at all. He's got an image to uphold, except for not anymore. He doesn't.
Now I can just be him, I guess.
Our new house of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Texter on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with Fan FAN. Fan FAN says, Aaron Donald is Rob when people use hot dogs as straws. Yep.
All right. Yep. I'm just guessing. Well, no, I was going to say this is something Chris would say, but he doesn't know who Aaron Donald is. Well, I mean, per our conversation earlier in the office where the fire was ignited again, when Rob just brings up the video again just to get mad.
Chris walks in today, and we informed him of hot dog straw guy, and he was blissfully unaware, to the point that I didn't so much show him as I thought Captain America Chris Evans down the hall was going to have some extreme reaction one way or the other to hot dog straw guy, but more, I need him to know that this person exists.
He's not a social media guy. He stays away from it. I have never been able to ascertain the exact reasons why, but he does still have his tinfoil hat in his little office
He does.
in there. Yes.
He literally has a tinfoil hat in there.
Yeah, it's kind of a it's memorabilia.
Days gone by. Memory
Yes.
of days gone by, and I get that, but it's still funny. Aaron Donald, for those of you, I know why it got brought up. That's exactly why it got brought up. Because some psychopath somewhere, to add to the hot dog straw conversation, some psychopath somewhere has brought up, and Keegan just mentioned it on the stream, the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, or at YouTube by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show. Some psychopath just brought out hot dog popsicles. And I was like, basically the conversation came up. The conversation came up with, is this the worst thing to ever happen to hot dogs? And I got to tell you, I think it's on par with hot dog straw, honestly. I actually think the hot dog popsicle might be worse than hot dog straw, but not by very much, right? Popsicle straw is like a popsicle hot dog is like a 4.2740, and hot dog straw is like a 4.2940. You know what I mean? Like, the difference is so slight as to effectively be imperceptible to the human eye. Oscar Mayer has released a first-of-its-kind hot dog flavored popsicle. This, according to People magazine. The unorthodox treat, aptly named a cold dog, has a smoky flavor and gives off umami notes of Oscar Mayer's classic wiener. It's also topped with a drizzle of mustard to round out the theme.
What?
Umami.
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 Yeah, umami.
What is umami?
Umami is it's a description of it's a very savory taste.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fancy, haughty way of saying it's savory, right? Delicious. Anyway, it's also tapped with a drizzle of, quote, mustard. And I'm assuming the mustard is not actually mustard. It's like icing, basically. The product originated from Oscar Mayer's Stupid or Genius Instagram campaign, which set out to find out all of the, quote, wonderfully odd, end quote, ways to enjoy the iconic wiener aside from just grilling. According to the brand, after thousands of fans voted that the frozen idea was in fact genius, they teamed up with Pop Bar, a company known for their gelato on a stick, to make it happen. Ann Field, the company's head of North American brand communications, because yes, frozen hot dogs are strictly an American catastrophe. Quote, after the overwhelming fan excitement for our beloved cold dog, it was a no-brainer to make this hot dog-inspired frozen pop a reality. Now, it is not a frozen hot dog on a stick. It is frozen gelato. It is frozen gelato flavored like a hot dog, which is still...
All right. So it's not actually a hot dog.
Actually a frozen
all
hot dog.
right. That makes it a whole lot less. I mean, if it was actually a frozen hot dog, that's different.
It is hot dog flavored ice cream.
No. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
No.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's if it was actually a hot dog, then I got a problem.
It's a hot dog flavored ice cream. The unexpected dessert is now available while supplies last at select Popgar locations in Long Beach, New York City, Atlanta, and New Orleans. And there's another fun way to snag the frozen dessert. From August 25th through August 27th, the company's 27-foot Wienermobile will make its way through popular spots in New York City and the Jersey Shore, decked out with frosted windows and icicle-themed decorations to celebrate the release. No, we should not celebrate this. We should not celebrate this at all.
I will tell you, if I recall, the Wienermobile has actually been out in this parking lot before. And if the Wienermobile happens to show up, you got to go down and get a frozen dog, don't you?
No.
Why not?
No, I don't.
Why
and
not?
Not only do I not, I, perhaps by myself, will lead a one-man protest of Oscar Mayer in the Wienermobile, if and only if they show up with frozen dogs.
Are you gonna go take the Panther helmet out of Hendrix's office and go down and go Aaron Donald on the Wienermobile?
All right, so let's switch to that conversation. A, because it's sports themed, and B, because it's Friday and I don't want to be a rage-filled hate machine for the next hour and 54 minutes.
Okay, he doesn't want to appear to be a rage-filled hate
Correct.
machine. Okay,
Correct.
all right.
I got like 3 hate emails from Monday and Tuesday about how I need to calm down because I'm, quote, too much, end quote.
He's just too much.
Yeah, I believe I'm extra, as the kids call it.
ACC Karen's is keeping track of you, isn't she?
There was a fight at a joint practice between the Bengals of Cincinnati and the LA Rams. Of course, last year's Super Bowl matchup. They've got a preseason game coming up. They held a joint practice, which has become a pretty common occurrence throughout the National Football League. Well, during the practice, there was a, I was going to call it a scrap, a Donnybrook, perhaps. It was a brawl. Both teams, midfield, punches are thrown, kicks are thrown, and a helmet is swung because Aaron Donald successfully dislodged the helmet of a Cincinnati Bengal and then immediately turned it into a weapon, started swinging it at dudes, right? Now,
before you get worried, Joe Burrow is okay. He was not involved in the fracas.
Yeah, because Joey B took his blowed up knee and went to a different part of the field. Went to a different part of the field. I like Aaron Donald, right? I like Aaron Donald. Dude's a stud. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I said Aaron Donald got a helmet and started swinging it. He was double wielding, y'all. Aaron Donald got his loadout, as us Call of Duty nerds would call it. Dude was double. He equipped the dual wield perk and went helmet in both hands and started swinging.
You usually take a penalty when you decide to dual wield. He didn't appear to have taken one, though.
No debuff. No nerfing for Aaron. Aaron took the overkill perk, the double wield perk, a penalty to speed, but a buff to strength when he started swinging these things around like warhammers. All right? The question floating around right now, and I think it's a fair one. The question floating around, and I think it is a fair one now, is this. Should Aaron Donald be suspended for that? How is the answer not yes? And by the way, I like Aaron Donald. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's one of the best, if not the best defenders I've ever seen, right? The guy is an absolute beast. I love watching him play. One of the best defensive linemen, maybe the best defensive lineman since Reggie White. Dude can go, right? He's got to be suspended for this. That rises past the level of, hey, it's football, fights happen, right? The Panthers and the Patriots got into, 4 different fights during 2 or 3 days of joint practice? Fights happen. And when fights happen in football, you just, pardon the terrible pun, roll with the punches, right?
Yeah, but it's not a fight when you suddenly are wielding a weapon. I mean, it's not just your normal fight. When someone pulls off that helmet and start, I've never seen this happen before. Have you? Other than what happened for Cleveland, and when I'm talking about in practice, we've never seen a video like this. Did they find out how did the video get out?
Somebody was filming practice. I'm not sure where it would have come from. Who was a Steelers game?
It was Mason
Rudolph and Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett, who, by the way, in his game, Lonzo, he was playing as a rogue. He's only able to one-hand a helmet, right? He only gets one-handed weapons. Myles Garrett.
Yeah, but I think he's like a Dragonborn or something.
He might be.
He's pretty big.
Myles Garrett in a game against the Steelers sacked Mason Rudolph. He came up. He celebrated. And there was a brouhaha after the play was over. The brouhaha came because after the sack, Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph got into it on the ground, right? Like Rudolph thought that there was a little bit extra on the sling to the ground. Rudolph was grabbing Garrett's helmet and like trying to push him off. Of course, as offensive linemen do, when Mason Rudolph was getting attacked by Myles Garrett, it doesn't matter what happened. The O-linemen come in to protect their guy. So 2 Steelers linemen come in to start pushing Myles Garrett off. Myles Garrett removes the helmet of Mason Rudolph, is getting pushed away. Well, in fairness, dumb decision from backup quarterback Mason Rudolph. He ran after Myles Garrett, who was holding the helmet of Mason Rudolph. Myles Garrett grabbed the helmet of Mason Rudolph, slung it over the top of his head, and bounced it off of Mason Rudolph's skull. Rudolph turned around, looked at the officials like, yo, where's the call? Rudolph would take another hit from Ogunjobi, the defensive tackle who knocked him to the ground. Looked like what? And called him the B word before he got back up. At this point, whatever one of the 2 Pouncey twins was playing at the time got in between them. It was an ugly situation. Ugly situation. Both head coaches of those 2 teams came out and like had to talk to each other to settle the boys down. Anyway, we've seen this happen in the league before. Texture says, Rob, we're talking about practice, not a game, practice. No suspension for extra at practice. Come on, Liberob. Dude, do you understand there is a difference between a fight at a football practice, which happens. We all accept it. We all know it's going. And swinging helmets at a dude's dome.
It becomes battery when you're using a weapon.
Yes.
It really does.
Yes. There have been hits on the field that we jokingly go, that's not a hit, that's assault, right? But it's within the realm of football. And everybody out there understands it's within the realm of football. It is another thing to remove a dude's helmet designed to protect his head and clobber him in the noggin with it. Right? That is past extra. That is not extra. That is dude. Do you understand? Do you understand that if you pop it, if our boss walked in here with the Panthers helmet hanging in his office and clobbered me in the back of the skull with it, I would probably die. All right? I would probably die.
Probably, because Hendricks is swole, and so when he swings that helmet, he's going to come down with the force of John Henry's hammer.
If you rolled into a bar, got into a fight, hit a dude with a football helmet, that would be assault with a deadly weapon. All right, it just would. I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I'm relatively sure if you popped the dude in the top of the skull with a football helmet, that would be a charge of assault with a deadly weapon. I have no doubt in my mind. Well, everybody else was wearing helmets. No, they weren't. You know how I know there were at least 2 people not wearing helmets? Because Aaron Donald was holding them swinging at those dudes, right? What happens if he connects with the unguarded head of one of the dudes whose helmet he was in possession of? And he KOs that guy. Or gives him a hefty concussion. Lonzo, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. If he pops one of those guys, gives him a concussion, and that guy has to miss 3 or 4 weeks of game time because of that concussion, there's a lawsuit on his hands. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Right?
And this is going to be interesting because it's another one of those cases where you hear accusations of things and there's no video. In this case, there's video. And anytime we get video, something happens afterwards.
And we talked about the what I call the Ray Rice effect, right? We all knew the story of what happened with Ray Rice. Ray Rice decked his, girlfriend, wife, whatever she was at the time. Ray Rice knocked a woman out and dragged her by the hair off of an elevator at a casino. And we were all like, oh, gasp, that's terrible. Then the video came out. Then we saw the video. And when the video dropped and we saw how violent it was, that's when everybody got serious. Oh, damn, he clocked her. We're not okay with that, right? You don't have to like it. a picture says 1,000 words, a video says 1,000,000, right? Once we saw Ray Rice, we were all on the overwhelming majority of us in Sanity Land. We're immediately like, yep, that's got to come with the harsher punishment. That was violent. Even though we already knew what happened, once we saw it, it was different. I can't say that the impact here isn't different, right? I can't say the impact is or isn't different. When yesterday I was driving around after offsides, and I'm on the way home, and dude comes on, and he's like, "This is that guy with your sports flash, brought to you by CBS Radio. Aaron Donald under heat from the National Football League after swinging a football helmet at an unguarded Cincinnati Bengal after a fight at a joint practice between Cincinnati and St. Louis." That's not how he talks, but you get it.
I don't know. I've heard that guy. I think that's a pretty apt depiction. Yeah.
Then I got to the house. I made my shrimp tacos for dinner. I plopped my fat behind on the couch. I turned on ESPN, and I saw the video, and I'm like, oh, that is a bad look. That's a bad look. That's a bad look. I'm not calling for a full year suspension of Aaron Donald, but you got to sit him for a minute, right? You got to sit him for a minute. You got to sit him for at least the opener, right?
Precedence has already been set. So if they don't do something, what they're saying is it's okay if you do it in practice. You just can't do it in a game.
Yeah. What did Myles Garrett caught? I think he caught 6 games. I think Myles Garrett caught 6 games for
some reason, I thought it was a whole season.
No, I want to say it was 6 games for Myles Garrett. I'm going to take a look and see if I can find it. Wasn't that, according to one website, it wasn't that long ago, Cleveland Brown star Myles Garrett was suspended 6 games for essentially doing the same thing Donald did in a fight with Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph. Yeah, 6 games. So Tom Pelissero is saying that if the NFL does not decide to step in, it is because, and this is from a tweet from Tom Pelissero, quote, "Clubs, not the NFL, are responsible for overseeing conduct of players at practice, including joint practices. So fair to say league discipline for Aaron Donald or anyone else in today's brouhaha is unlikely." Brouhaha is a word that doesn't get enough run on the show.
And the other thing is, I don't believe I've ever seen brouhaha spelled out on,
It's a weird word to see spelled out. BROUHAHA. Like, that's exactly how I would assume you'd spell it, but I've never.
Well, the brew part, that's different. That's not what. Wonder what language that is.
Brouhaha is what happens when I hit the bar on a Friday night. Ha 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 ha. So, make it make sense to me that the NFL has the ability to suspend players for hitting another guy from another team in the dome with a lid in a game, but the NFL doesn't have the power to suspend a guy for hitting another guy on another team in the dome with the lid when it happens at a practice? Explain that one to me. Explain that to me. We'll see. We'll see if anything happens. It should. It absolutely. You cannot make this something that is accepted in the league.
All right, brouhaha is either from 1890 French or it's from ancient Hebrew.
Brouhaha.
1890 from French brouhaha, said by Gameschlag, to have been in medieval theater the cry of the devil disguised as clergy, which kind of makes more sense than the Hebrew thing, which they think is Baruch haba, blessed be the one who comes. So it's probably more the French thing.
I'm going to go the French thing.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the French. Yeah, something to do with the devil. I don't know.
Anyway, text said, yeah, I'm not going to read that text. It's amazing.
If you're a listener, doesn't it bother you when you hear I'm not going to read that text?
The texter who sent that, look, we've got 8 or 9 texts about this topic since we started talking about it. The texter who sent the text that I said on the radio, I will not say on the radio, knows exactly what he said. He knows exactly what he said. Credit for making me laugh with it, but I can't read it on the air. Texter said, "This is an easy fix. Practice or game. You take a helmet and swing at someone, you sit all year without pay. I mean, all year is hefty for a dumb decision in a fight, but 6 games would be fine.
Potential of escalation. I mean, you got to look at that. All right, this guy did it. Maybe more people are doing it. Suddenly people are investigating. There are things like there's got to be a penalty that will make someone think twice about doing it, and it should be harsh. It should be double because there were 2 helmets.
Yeah, I think 6 games. No, I think 6 games will be fine. I really do. You can't allow this. Can't be okay, man. This can't be okay. Not just because of the safety and danger on the players, and you know me, I don't go down this path very often, but because I'm in the Chuck Barkley camp. Athletes are not role models, right? You should be teaching your kids. You do not look up to football players as role models. There are some football players that step up as role models, but overall football players aren't role models. However, if you got kids, teenagers, middle schoolers that are out there at practice and they've seen Aaron Donald dual-wield helmets and start swinging them around like a barbarian, right? And they look at that and they get into a practice and they saw AD do it and they saw that AD got no punishment for doing it. Yeah, they need to know that ain't cool, bro.
And with the seriousness of CTE and concussions and all that kind of thing, you can't let something like this go. Because I've been hit on the helmet with stuff in practice before. It hurts.
Dude, going helmet to helmet sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't know if you know this, but going helmet to helmet is not as bad as going helmet to the top of your actual head without a helmet on it.
Yeah, there's that. There's absolutely that. With the swinging of someone, the kind of force that Aaron Donald wields, I mean, that's dude is not a wimp.
Let's be real. If you go helmet to helmet, there is only, even the strongest dudes, so much force that can be generated going helmet to helmet. I don't care who you are. I would be willing to bet, Lonzo, that Aaron Donald and any given offensive lineman coming out of stances hitting each other, I would bet me swinging a helmet generates more force than Aaron Donald and an offensive lineman hitting each other head-to-head at the offensive line attack. Me getting a full wind-up, coming over the top, my weak ass, swinging a helmet over the top will generate more impact than 2 guys 6 inches from each other hitting helmets together.
By the way, I've been knocked out in college going through the cages, so it teaches you to get low in your stance, and the All-American guard hit me with the pad.
Yeah.
But my helmet was too loose, and it came down on my nose.
Now imagine that, but you're not wearing a helmet. Nah.
Or even imagine that with another helmet hitting you. No.
Texture said, Sex Panther, if you get happy ending, oh, never mind, I can't read that. That's another Deshaun joke. You guys are taking Aaron Donald, Deshaun, and helmets to an extreme I'm not saying on the air. You almost got me, though. I'm going to give you that. You almost got him. Texture said, sit him this preseason game. Not enough. 6 games. That's what you already gave Myles Garrett for literally the same thing. 6 games. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. We're back stream. Don't go nowhere. up, dude? Come on in. Yeah, no, you're good. You're coming in. Sorry, I literally just saw on the hallway and I didn't see you boys. So. You're good, brother. You're looking at it. I've got
What's going on? You're looking at it. Yeah. Yeah.
We got one more break in this hour, right, Zoe?
We've got 2 breaks because we went really late.
Okay. No, just hang out. Let me do one quick little in-out segment, and then I'll come back to you guys. But y'all welcome to hang out. John Boy, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
Yeah? I like it. What game y'all going to tonight? All right. I'm going to do it in out here. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown and the great one Lonzo with you. Won't spend a ton of time on this because I genuinely cannot get a feel for how much, if any, you guys care about the Live Golf v PGA Tour thing. I am fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by it for a bunch of different reasons. Obviously, the originators and the funders of the Live Tour, not big fans, right? I also find it fascinating, though, because the PGA Tour, considering they are up against an entity that has effectively an unlimited amount of dollars to throw at it, are having to get creative. So we saw 2 big things out of Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour this week. Number one, the PGA Tour has created a system where next year exempted players who play at least 15 tournaments last year will get a guaranteed $500,000. Does not matter your finishes or your performance. If you play 15 events next year, you get $500,000 guaranteed if you've got your tour card. But what's really getting me is that the PGA Tour is now willing to step out of their lane, right? Like there's an element of the PGA Tour that for years has basically tried to keep golf, right? It's a gentleman's game. It's a classy game. We're going to keep golf. No shorts. Shirts have to have collars, boys. No bad language. Golf is golf. Well, Tiger showed up on the scene about 2 weeks ago. And showing up on the scene about 2 weeks ago, he had a meeting with PGA Tour players in which administrators of the PGA Tour were locked out. And now, earlier this week, we found out that Tiger and Rory have created effectively a primetime television show that's like Top Golf drunk and on steroids in a studio using tech with 3v3 teams, 6 teams of them going up in what I think it said like 15 regular season events plus a playoffs and a championship game in an arena in front of a live studio audience, and it's going to be hype. And I'm in. Hold my beer. Let's do this thing, right? Now we find out on top of that Tiger's also setting up a separate event at his basically grown-up adult mini golf course. It's an 18-hole mini golf course, except for it's like actual greens and tough putts that simulate tournament conditions and stuff. It's really interesting, and they're going to be doing stuff at that for those events as well. So you got the PGA Tour now handing out more money than they've ever handed out before, and it is not performance-based for a foundation of $500,000. But the PGA Tour has partnered up to do definitely not golf stuff. We're doing drugged up Top Golf in front of studio audiences on live primetime television, and the PGA Tour has given it its blessing. Y'all, this is great. The PGA Tour has finally realized, all right, if we want to compete, because you don't just have to now keep the fans interested and engaged, you got to keep the golfers interested and engaged too, so they don't jump over, right? They are now coming up with some really interesting, creative, new ways, energetic ways, exciting ways to do things with golfers, to get golf fans who maybe aren't going to sit down and watch 4 8-hour rounds over 4 days, to get them engaged with these guys personality-wise, and to give these guys on the tour an opportunity to build their brand away from, hi, I'm on TV on Sundays playing golf sometimes, right? They're going to get the chance to let their charisma shine, let their personality shine. I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And it has to be done to keep up with Live Golf and to keep their guys happy and making money off the course as well as on it. And we are going to benefit from it. Now, there's a lot of court stuff going on. The Live Tour has just gotten subpoenas issued, or the PGA Tour just got subpoenas issued to Live Tour golfers to see what's in their contracts. And the Live Tour has been firing back with their own subpoenas to find out what the PGA Tour is telling these guys to keep them from jumping over. It is heated in the Boston legal sense. But we're going to get some new content out of it, and I'm all in. I think it's great. We'll talk more about that later on, but we got to take a break because when we come back, the boys from the Moving the Chain podcast are in the house, and we're going to talk to them about the high school games going on around the area tonight. We're going to get into all of that when we come back. The Moving the Chains fellas are in the studio. We will talk to them next on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Keegan, you need to stop, man. Also, lad, it's just more proof that Rob's getting older, that he's dropping Boston legal.
Shatner, baby. You know, you got to weave a little pop culture in, is all I'm saying. Keegan said, I need you to announce subpoenas a little more clearly. Too much hot dog talk.
Which is what I was laughing at.
It's the official chaplain of the Rob Brown Show chiming in right there.
Everybody needs one.
And someone posted a picture of looks like a 6-foot snake in the Kool-Aid aisle of a grocery store. No, thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have a little more time we did last week, so we should be able to get through most of them. Thank you, Kevin.
No, he doesn't.
That's right. Actually, Lonzo.
So Lonzo's correct. Lonzo's in charge of the show. I'm just here.
Lonzo, is this your last day of double duty?
Well,
now.
Rob has helped me out all week. So, yeah. But today I have to do the full day. Yes.
Fun.
Oh no, it could get bad because
Have you seen
I have
the
some plans.
name that fans on the state have voted as the new name for Sir Big Spur? All right.
I saw like 3 or 4 hours.
They're not going to go with it. The university's not. As of right now, there are 10 names on the poll. Second place, which is Cluck Norris, has 770-ish votes.
I still like that one.
First place has 11,600 votes compared to 700. Cock Commander. 11,500 votes to 700. Like, that's insanity, right? Even if that poll is getting trolled, it's an 11,000 vote lead, and second place has 700. You know what I mean? Like, if they had an 11,000 vote lead and it was like 120,000 to 109,000, you'd be like, all right, it's not that big of a difference. I mean, it's big, but it's not that big. 11,600 to 700 is stupid. And they're absolutely not going to go with that. So, you know, what's fun is the school has no say over it other than allowing them on the field or not. The owners will name the bird. But if they don't like the name, they can be like, no, like, we're not going to let you on the field. You can name it that, but you're just not coming to football games if you do. But the whole thing's stupid and petty, and college football is amazing for that reason. Probably live football, baby. It's a week.
Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thursday night.
It's at 7 p.m. Yes.
So yeah, I'll be there. Are you going? You want to go? Who cares? It's live football.
North Greenville, I think.
It's live football, man. Let's go. Let's get to it. Let's go. I'm in. First college football game I'll get to go to of the season. Decision made. Keegan said, I think Boston Legal has passed up the pop part of pop culture.
Yes, I believe so.
It's just culture now.
I don't even know if it's culture now. It's nostalgia.
Boston Legal was the best lawyer show. It was the best lawyer show. Name me a lawyer show better than Boston Legal. You can't. That's not a lawyer show, though. That's not a lawyer show.
Well,
That
it's
is
kind
a
of
prosecutor. That's like a.
it's kind of half a lawyer show.
The Moving the Chains podcast segment has been canceled moving forwards. I mean, Zach Morris.
I was gonna say I didn't even know what it was. So.
Yeah. I never watched it. I can't. He's just Zach Morris. He's just old Zach Morris now. Also, Zach Morris was a terrible person. Like, we don't give Zach Morris the amount of hate that he deserves. No, we should have seen at the time that he was a bad person. When dude made moves on Lisa in front of Screech, that is, like, if you need to write down the biggest bro code violation in history, Zach Morris making a pass at Lisa in front of Screech is number one on that list. Oh, yeah. Skrilla said it's a lawyer show with Captain Kirk and Ultron. Correct. Spader. If you could have any celebrity voice and do this job, James Spader is the way to go. All right, fellas, here we go. All right, kids, welcome back to the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Good to have you, Rob and Lonzo, with you on a Friday. And Friday in the South means it's time for a little high school football, y'all. And that's why we are joined, as we will be all football season long, by the boys of the Moving the Chains podcast. Kevin Thomas, John Epps in the building. It is week one. Yes, it is. Last week was week one. It is still in the first week of football, therefore week one. But game night number 2 of week one. Fellas, what's happening? How we doing?
What's going on, Rob? Got a nice weather night, looks like, tonight. So should be a lot of really good action here in the upstate.
Dude, it was like 70 and perfect at kick last week, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Very
football
nice.
season does something to you. I'll tell you what, let's jump in. Let's start with Burns.
Okay.
Because not only is their play-by-play guy exceptionally handsome, but they also dropped 62 last week. But they had 14 up on the board at the half against, and it was a game Brooklyn Casey squad, a 3A squad up against a 5A squad. Brooklyn Casey with that double fullback and halfback power formation kind of had Burns guessing early, but they picked it up real late in the second half. Give me a minute and a half of what you saw out of Burns last week. Give me a minute on what you think we should expect out of Burns. A little bit tougher of a challenge going up against Chapman tonight, but it is back at Nixon Stadium, and that's a big help to be at home for this one. Give me a minute and a half on what you saw last week and another minute on what you think we're going to see tonight out of Burns.
Last week was kind of odd, Rob. I mean, you were at the game, obviously. It felt like Burns dominated the first half, but then you look at the scoreboard, it's only 14-7. Like, what's kind of going on here? Because, BC went on a nice 8-minute drive there, 8+ minute drive to score in the last minute of the second quarter to go down 14-7. You're like, okay, they've got a chance in this ball game. Second half, Burns comes out, just too much speed, too much explosiveness, too much depth. They take a little screen pass, 70+ for a TD the first drive. It's just on from there. BC couldn't keep up with the pace offensively. Those playmakers that Shaw can get the ball out to with Kai Cook and Armani Weaver and the Livingston kid, all those guys. Too much firepower for Burns Friday night last week.
I tell you, I was more impressed than anything with the Rebel defense. That was what was a weakness for them last year, and going up against a really talented quarterback on the other sideline, they locked up the secondary. There were receivers that were not open. We saw coverage sacks all night, and they just took BC out of the game that they wanted to play and just completely dominated the second half.
And I think what was interesting about that was that Brooklyn Casey, I mean, it's not like that's a power or I mean, they ran every kind of offense. Give me 30 seconds on what you expect to see tonight against Chapman.
Should be another nice win for the Rebels. Chapman lost last week 13-7 in overtime to Woodruff. That program has taken a step down this year. Lost a lot of talent from last year, a lot of the offensive pieces they had there. They've kind of got to find an identity, I think. I think Burns wins this game on multiple scores again tonight. Big game for Shaw and those guys.
Yeah, I think Burns, the goal tonight is pitch a shutout. This is an offense for Chapman that lost a lot of talent, lost DJ Black from last year, the Settle kid at quarterback. They're trying to find identity offensively. This is a great chance for that Burns defense to build even more momentum and have a great game tonight. I expect a big win for Burns.
All right, let's look through a couple of the games of the week. You guys are featuring JL Man versus Riverside. JL Man 56-14 winners last week over Eastside, including Ethan Anderson going 16 of 19 for 448 and 6 touches. My God, what a day. Break that one down for me.
Yeah, this game might be 54-52.
Sorry, before I slip, Rob Sanders for Riverside, 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, going to be hard pressed to
Shaq.
find a matchup with quarterbacks who had better weeks last week than this one right here. It may be whoever can get 2 stops might win this ball game. Both teams put up, huge numbers, 56 for JL Man, 61 for Riverside. This is going to be a shootout. I'm leaning with Rob Sanders and the Warriors at home. Just a little bit too much firepower, I think, in JL Man. They're going to be a good program this year. I think they lose this one tonight, though, on the road.
I agree with you, Kev. I think this is going to be, if you're looking for a game to go to tonight, if you're not going out to Burns, go to this game. It's going to be exciting. You're going to see really, really good quarterback play on both sides. Ethan Anderson was one of our players of the week this past week, and it's good to see JL Man and Riverside having some good football teams this year. We don't see that all the time, so good to see those upstate teams having some talent this year.
Another game with a couple of undefeated teams. Powdersville is at Abbeville. Both of these teams putting up better than 40 last week.
Yeah, Powdersville's a really fun team to watch. They're led by the Virginia Tech commit. Thomas Williams plays running back, DB for them. A couple other big-time players, Eli Hudgens, Drake Sloan, Jalen Rambert, guys like that. They're going to really get after it offensively. They're going to score a lot of points. And Abbeville, on the flip side, they're kind of that wing T, triple option type, A-bones, what they call it, actually, their offense there. Quarterback Zay Rayford, big game last week, but he's going to have to run the ball a lot this week. Their star running back is still out with the ACL injury. I think Powdersville, a little bit too much depth, a little bit too much firepower. I think they go on the road to A-Town and get a win tonight.
I tell you, it's going to be a tough one. This is a top 5 matchup. If you look at the media poll, Powdersville checking in at number 4 in 3A, and Abbeville, the top team in 2A. A lot of firepower in this game, and it's awfully tough to win down in Abbeville. We'll see what happens.
Kevin Thomas and John Epps from the Moving the Chains podcast joining us here on the show. You can find them across all the social medias at Moving Chains, and grab the podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you find your podcast. Dutch Fork and Spartanburg. Dutch Fork was in a shootout last week, 27-24 winners. Spartanburg, not the way they wanted to open the season with a 47-16 loss to Langston Hughes. They'll try to rebound. This one, I think Spartanburg might be a little bit overmatched in. Do they have a run in them?
Yeah, I'm excited about the Spartanburg team this year. I think Mark Hodges got them really headed in the right direction. I don't expect Spartanburg to win this game, but this is a good barometer game for the Vikings to see where they're at. They played a really, really good team out of Georgia last week, obviously playing the class of the state of South Carolina this week in Dutch Fork. Hey, this is a great chance for them to figure things out and to get better.
Yeah, Dutch Fork took on Huff, a really good team out of North Carolina last week, beat them 3 points. Really probably could have been a little bit better. They made some easy mistakes they shouldn't have. Offense didn't look great for them, but defense played pretty well, I felt like, for the Silver Foxes. Spartanburg, like you mentioned, John, they got just blown out last week. Even if they don't win this game, they need to be competitive. I think they can certainly do that. Raheem Jeter, big-time prospect there. I like the Danton kid, the Drake Carter kid there at running back. They need to be competitive. If they're not, that's gonna show a lot for us here in 5A.
Yeah, you gotta play the best before you can be the best, and just get ready for region play. That's what Spartanburg wants to do tonight.
TL Hanna is 1-0. They are at Greenville. They pitched the shutout, did TL Hanna, over Boiling Springs, 43-0 last week. Greenville took a loss on the road, 53-28 against a very good Dorman squad. TL trying to keep the momentum rolling. Greenville trying to rebound here.
TL Hanna surprised me last week. This is a team that lost 41 seniors, Rob, and they still put up 43 and shut out Bowling Springs last week. The quarterback is back, the Fretwell kid. Really good player there, and he knows how to run that kind of triple T or triple wing T that they run there. He's got a good handle on it, but that's a lot of guys to replace. They looked really, really good. Greenville last week gave up 300 plus to Demarius Foster at Dorman, so they got ran all over. And I think a wing T triple option team is not what you want to face when your run defense has holes in it. I think TL Hanna wins again. Greenville's best shot is to have a big game from Mazio Bennett, Tyler Brown, and Jordan Sink throwing the ball around, who had a good game last week. But I think TL Hanna starts out 2-0 tonight.
I do too, but Greenville fans, don't worry about this one. I think the Red Raiders are in really, really good shape down the stretch of this season. Big question of them was replacing Pro Franklin at quarterback, and it looks like the 10th grader Jordan Sink had a great game against a really tough Gorman team last week. He's off to a good start. I think they take the loss tonight, but good things ahead for Greenville.
Kevin Thomas, John Epps, host of the Moving the Chains podcast. You can find them on their brand new website at movingchains.com. Find them on Facebook at Moving Chains, on Twitter and Instagram at Moving Chains. And, of course, the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and on Twitter, where you guys, and this was kind of rad, I saw it pop up last week. I jumped in for a minute. You guys are actually hosting a Twitter Spaces on Friday nights after the games go final to kind of break them down in real time. That's pretty rad concept.
Yeah, and what's so cool about it too, Rob, is that the fans can hop in and chat too. If they were at a game or they went after the game, they can just request to speak. We can let them, and they can give us a breakdown themselves. We can't be at every game across the upstate, but we can talk about the one that we were at. We can give you scores, but getting some more insight from guys who were at ball games is really cool. So appreciate you hopping in. Look forward to doing that again tonight.
Yeah, man, 100%. Boys, appreciate you coming in. Nice job. Give me what's the game you guys are going to tonight?
Abbeville, Powdersville, down in Abbeville, Heights Stadium.
I like it. We'll get you guys back on next Friday. Do it all over again.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
There you go. Kevin Thomas, John Epps. You can find them across all the social media at Moving Chains. Check out their website at movingchains.com. No G, because they're gangsters. Silent like lasagna. Back after this for the third hour of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Well done, fellas. Well done. You love to see it. Yeah, so last week when you guys invited me in,
I don't know if this is going to work or not. I was going to hit it.
No, it worked. But so what was weird was I was in the Jeep, and so I was connected to Bluetooth. And whenever I had my mic off, I could hear you guys. But when I went live, I couldn't hear y'all anymore.
Really?
Which is why, if you notice, I was talking so fast, because I was like, I wanted to get through an answer, because if you guys were like, wait, Rob, I wouldn't have been able to hear you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me just talk so fast they can't interrupt me. And that way I can get through an answer and then shut up and listen to the next question. But I should be, but I'll probably still be at the stadium this time, because we're going to do a post game. Yeah. We do. I mean, it's 30. We gun for 30, but it's really just like, I mean, when you hit the wall, you hit the wall. I can only go hear the stats so many times. Yeah. We'll find out.
Dag on it. No, I didn't post it. Okay. I guess that's good I didn't post the first hour because it's messed up.
Yeah, that if you're into high school football in Upstate, the spaces they run on Friday nights are actually really cool. But yeah, a bunch of the players popped in after the games, which was kind of awesome. Like to see them participating.
Okay, that's just part of it. What in the world happened?
What are you looking for?
The first hour just totally screwed up, and I don't know why. It probably has something to do with net storage again, or someone changed the record settings again. I don't know.
As Shaggy said, it wasn't me.
Well, at least I caught it before the second hour. Let me go ahead and convert this. Prisma in the first break. This is
Prisma in the
weird.
first break.
Weird.
Bum 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 ba dum bum. Yeah.
This means I'm going to have to do some doctoring.
Huzzah. The third, the final, the best of money hour. The Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have you. My name is Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, we call him the Great One. Lonzo's in charge of the broadcast. We hope you will join the broadcast by giving us a buzz at 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. You can also text the radio broadcast on the Preferred Home Services text line. That number is 71307, 71307. Start your text with the word FAN, F-A-N. Start your text with the word FAN, F-A-N, and we will read those texts on the air. So for whatever reason, F1 is on our TV right now. I'm assuming this is a race, not a practice. It's still an hour away from starting. I don't know. I don't follow F1 as much as I'd like to. I just got too much going on. I do want to get it more into it. It's fantastic racing. It's high-speed racing. It's high-energy racing. I'm assuming this is a race, though it could be a practice. There is a metric boatload of people there if this is a practice, not a race. I did see the other day, and this is just me being a nerd, something that really fascinated me, Lonzo. The way these cars are designed and the speeds that they reach, right? So they got the wing spoiler on the front of the F1 car, and then they've got the actual spoiler on the back of the car. These cars, Lonzo, go so fast and produce so much downforce, right? Because the spoiler it's effectively an upside down airplane wing, right? Like an airplane wing is designed so that when you go fast and that you've got the air pushing against the flat side of the wing on the bottom and going quickly over the top wing, it creates lower pressure underneath the wing, which pushes up against the wing and creates lift. That's what pushes the airplane up into the air, right? Well, that's what these spoilers are, but they're upside down. So that as the air rushes over the spoiler, it actually pushes on the top of the wing and it pushes the car down against the concrete to keep the car on the ground instead of taking off.
And
right?
by the way, some of you out there in your Toyotas and your Mazdas, you got your spoiler on there thinking that you don't go that fast, dude. You ain't fooling nobody.
Correct. So these cars get going so fast and are so well engineered, and these wings create so much downforce, Lonzo, that an F1 car running at straightaway speed produces so much downforce that if the track went upside down, right? If they did like a cartoon loop-de-loop and the track went upside down, they produce so much downforce that these cars at full speed could actually drive on the roof of a tunnel. That's how fast they go, and that's how much downforce they create. I know it's a nerd thing to be fascinated by, but I'm fascinated by them. I'm blown away by the amount of downforce these cars create and how fast they go. They're showing the inside of these F1 cockpits as these guys are driving around this track, getting warmed up, I guess, for a race. I don't know. I've always wanted, Lonzo, I've always wanted to ride in a NASCAR stock car, right? Like, I want to do the Richard Petty experience where you can go to like Daytona or Talladega or whatever, and you get to drive a NASCAR stock car, not at like full speed, but at 70% speed around a NASCAR racetrack. I have always wanted to do that. I don't know if I have the stones to drive an F1 vehicle. I don't know if I'd have the rocks to get in the cockpit of an F1 car. These dudes are certifiably insane.
Pretty sure they have a NASCAR experience at Myrtle Beach or along there somewhere where you can actually go and get in a car. You need to talk to Stoneman about that.
Yeah, I think he's done it, right?
Yeah, he has.
Yeah. Like, I know Stoneman has done a lot of driving stuff. Like the BMW plant here has a driver class where they will effectively teach you how to stunt drive a BMW, and then they send you out on the track with a pro driver to do that. Last year, when our friends over at First Tee of the Upstate, they invited us out for an event, for a cocktail event leading up to one of their big charity events last year. And I got to go on a ride in one of the BMWs on their stunt track. And we drifted around corners, did a donut in the parking lot. It was absolutely fantastic. And I realized we were going about 30% of what these F1 boys do. It is insane, man. Insane. All right, so I don't know if this is qualifying or what, but I would drive a NASCAR stock car. I don't know if I'd have the rocks to get in an F1 vehicle with one of these guys. They are insane, dude. Insane. All right, a couple more things I wanted to get into real quick as the show moves on. I'm going to go to some sound here, if you don't mind, Lonzo. I'm going to go with clip number 1. When you get them in, I'm not in a hurry. NIL and the transfer portal, two separate topics. I'm going to mash them into one segment here. NIL and the transfer portal are interesting. And part of what's interesting about them is the variety of opinions about the transfer portal and about NIL that we have gotten out of head coaches around college football. Nick Saban and Deion Sanders sat down together on ESPN the other day. And the host in charge, and I don't remember who it was, and I apologize to her. I don't remember which ESPN anchor was doing the interview. But they sat down and they were chatting about NIL. And they asked both Saban and Deion, obviously two different coaches, two different backgrounds, and two very different institutions, with Nick Saban running Bama and Deion running Jackson State. They asked them if they have updated their views on NIL and gave them both a crack at answering. Here's what that interview sounded like.
Well, I think, first of all, name, image, and likeness is a great opportunity for players to make money. They've always been allowed to work. This is another opportunity to use what they've created on their own, through their own hard work, to be able to earn money. And I think that's a really, really good thing. I think, a couple things are of concern. We allow alumni through collectives to get involved in recruiting and other things. That's always something we've guarded against, in college football. I think, how does it create, what kind of competitive balance are we able to create, if we allow that to happen, which is not going to be great for fans. The best competitive balance you can have, it's like in the NFL, they have rules to create competitive balance, whether it's salary cap, difficulty of schedule, where you draft, where you pick relative to your won-loss record. So Those things are important, I think, in creating interest and creating a lot of good matchups, on a national basis. And I also think we don't have any rules in place to protect the players, from people who are trying to get between them and the money. So I think all those things are just some things that, some guardrails would be helpful in terms of the future of college football.
Yeah, this is a work in progress, obviously, for a long time to come. Dion, what do you think, in your mind, the biggest challenge?
First of all, we can't compete. We don't have collectives. We don't have anything like that. We're trying to rally up boosters, and you talk about collectives. So I don't even know the definition of a collective. And it's name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness. I'm happy that these kids are getting compensated. But when you talk about name, image, and likeness, I haven't seen anybody on anything. We keep talking about these kids are making millions of dollars. What do they own? Where is the name, the image, and the likeness? Or is it just collectives just paying these kids to participate in this or that college? We don't have that. Again, we don't have those resources. We can't compete with that. So the little guy is pushed aside because now when it comes down to, is this guy going to choose this college or that college, we can't compete with anteing up to make sure that kid is compensated like he wants to be compensated. And I want these kids to start back focusing on the NFL and not the NIL. Now you have kids not even thinking about the wonderful job that Coach Saban has done and the track record that he's accumulated, but or the position coach, or does this scheme fit him? They're thinking about NIL. So if the money fits, I go there. And that's not the way to attack this thing, because the NFL is what's going to sustain you and maintain you, not the NIL.
We've heard the stat a lot of times. What percentage of college football players make the NFL? Take a stab at it. What percentage of college football players will make it to the National Football League?
I'm going to go with 2.
You're very close. 1.2%. Right? Out of every roster and a half total in all of college football, out of every roster and a half, one guy's going to the show, right? So I have to respectfully dismiss what Dion's saying here. Now, the reason Dion's saying it is not necessarily because Dion believes that, right? It's because, Jackson State's not putting NIL opportunities on the table like Bama is. Of course they're not, guys. Of course they're not. It is easier to get NIL if you are an Alabama offensive tackle than it is if you are a star quarterback at a smaller school, at a Division II school, at an FBS school, at a Group of 5 school, right? The left tackle of Bama is going to get more NIL opportunity. But here's the thing. College football has always slanted the resources towards the bigger school. It has always been this way, right? So here's the problem that I have. It's not that Dion's making this point that he's making as a guy who is going to have a ridiculous time getting NIL money for his players. So, of course, he's going to tell them, we want to focus on getting you to the league. Dion, on your entire roster right now, statistically speaking, you got one guy who makes it to the show. Statistically speaking, if you have 2 guys on that roster that are going to make it and survive in the NFL, you have beat the odds. If you have 3 guys, you've won the lottery, right? No, obviously teams like Bama are going to have way more NFL players, but of course they are. They also have way more in way of resources. They also have way more in terms of developmental tools. Way more in terms of boosters who are providing an easier time for these kids so they can focus more on football than they do anything else, right? The point that I'm making here is not that Dion's wrong. He is, but that's not the point I'm making. And the point I'm making here is that I very much understand why Dion says this. It's the best argument he has, right? If you got a 5-star kid like Dion did, and the recruit that bailed on FSU to go to Jackson State, which is unheard of, frankly. The argument for that kid of, I want to prep you for the NFL, and who's going to be better to prep you for the NFL, former NFL legend Deion Sanders or Mike Norvell, that's a fair point. But 98+% of the kids Deion recruits, that argument does not hold water. The point that I'm driving at here is not just that Deion is wrong. It's that if this is the first time that you have complained about a big-time school having more resources and therefore more ability to get big-name recruits than smaller schools, I don't accept it, right? If the first time, and I'm not saying it is for Deion, I don't know. I don't read every time Deion's name pops up in the newspaper. But it's the first time I've heard it, and it's certainly the first time I've heard it on a stage as large as this interview alongside Nick Saban on ESPN, yeah? If the first time you have complained about college football being slanted resource-wise towards the bigger schools is when the kids are getting cheddar, I'm dismissing you. You're not wrong. But if that's the first time you've complained, I got an issue with it, right? If there's a bunch of benches in the park downtown, right? I'm gonna make a liberal woke warrior example here to prove a point. If there's a bunch of benches in a park downtown, and every day you go to the park, those benches are full of people on their lunch break, or parents who have taken their kids to the park, or whatever. Folks taking a break from a nice jog. And those benches are full every day of people that are hanging out. And then one day you go downtown and half of the benches have homeless people on them. And now you're like, no, I don't like these benches. Right? No. You don't dislike the benches. You dislike who the benches are benefiting in this moment. There's a difference. Right? Be intellectually honest in the way you argue. If you have never before had a problem with the fact that resources at the college football level are slanted towards the bigger school, and now all of the sudden you have a problem with it, it certainly seems to me like you don't really have a problem with the resources in college football being slanted towards the big school. It sounds to me like you have a problem with where the resources are going, or more specifically, who the resources in this one instance are benefiting, right? Were you 3 years ago, before NIL was allowed, were you complaining about the resources always being slanted towards Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia and Clemson and LSU and FSU? If you were, I'll listen to your argument, right? If you were, I will listen to your argument. But if you weren't, then miss me with my anti-NIL takes. If you were not complaining 3 years ago that Bama and Ohio State and Georgia and Clemson were receiving most of the resources, which, by the way, are prominently given not by the NCAA, not by the organization, but because those schools have boosters that make and therefore donate more money. I don't know how you fix that. Unless you want to put a booster cap on every school, I don't know how you fix it. If you weren't making that complaint 3 years ago, then respectfully, I don't want to hear you make the complaint with NIL now. Right? Is that fair? I think that's fair. If you have not been anti-big schools get more resources and therefore it's easier to be successful 3 years ago, but now all of a sudden you're on the rampage, now that kids at the big schools can directly make that money, I'm not listening to you. Because it comes across as, I don't have a problem with big schools getting more benefits from private boosters. I got a problem with kids getting paid. And that is not an argument I'm going to hear.
This makes it sound like that if you didn't have an opinion on something and suddenly your eyes are opened on it, that you're no longer allowed to, you can't speak about it because you didn't speak about it in the beginning. And you can't do that. I mean, and plus people's opinions change. Maybe their eyes are opened up on something and go, oh, okay, I didn't realize it was this. I don't like that. I'm going to talk about it. And so I can't just look at someone and say, hey, you didn't say this then, so you can't say this now. I disagree.
if you are suddenly now so engaged, right? Now you're engaged. You weren't engaged 3 years ago. But now you're engaged.
Was he a coach then 3 years ago?
I'm not, for the record, I'm not just pointing this at Deion. I have already said that I get where Deion's, and I sympathize with Deion. I really do.
No, Deion's absolutely right about the long term. What he's saying is you got a better chance of taking care of your family if you concentrate on trying to get to the NFL. There's going to be certain kids that go, you know what? I just got paid. What do I need to worry about that?
Sure.
And then they stop putting forth the effort that they need to put forth to get to that next level, which if you're getting paid in the NIL, there's a good shot that people think you're going past college football. There's a really good shot that they think that's going to happen. If you suddenly become complacent because you got paid all this money and you think you're good, instead of pursuing your potential and what you can do not only for yourself, but for generations of your family, that becomes a problem.
Tell you what, let's take a break because I want to address 2 points Lonzo just made. That number one, if people are paying you an NIL, it's probably because they think you're moving past college. I don't agree with that. And I'll tell you why when we come back. And number two, I get that Deion is making an argument. The problem is Deion is unintentionally skewing the argument in order to attract a fraction of people that this conversation actually includes. I'll lay that argument out when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Prisma.
Be right back, stream. Don't go anywhere. Hang out.
It's taken it a long time to save, which means it might be okay. Technology is awesome, and it also sucks. So usually when I've been having this problem, I immediately think it's a net storage problem, and I save it to my folder on the desktop. I did that, and it still did it. Which means it's not net storage's fault.
Yeah.
It's something else, and that's the part that's throwing me. It's been doing this for like a week or so because I had this problem a little bit last Friday, and then Tim had this problem even on Pulse last week. All right, let's look at it and see if it looks okay this time. Sponsored by... Okay, why is that? What? Why does that say 12? No! Tag on it. I'm gonna throw something.
All right, 2 points I wanted to address regarding Lonzo's take ending the last segment here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Number one, Dion, in saying what Dion is saying, Dion has now got a taste for getting top-tier talent, right? He stole, what is it, the number 3 recruit in the country away from FSU. That was a massive coup. It was a massive coup for Dion, a massive coup for Jackson State, and a massive coup for lower-level ball and HBCUs, right? Because now there's a precedent set. Now, there are other folks that are going to be top-tier recruits, other kids that are going to be top-tier recruits that have now seen a top-tier recruit, just like them, go to a lower-level school, go to a historically black college or university, an HBCU. And listen, humans are very susceptible to mob mentality, right? A thing seems crazy until some other people in the region do it, and then all of a sudden it's not that crazy, right? How many of you guys have done something that you said you would never do because somebody else did it? A lot of you, right? Hence the old adage, if all your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump? Like, yeah. If all of them did it and all of them were okay, yeah.
Yeah, not me. I set trends. I don't follow them.
Lonzo is not following the peer pressure. He is the peer pressure, right? So Dion is saying what Dion's saying, not because it's best for college football, but because it's best for Dion and Jackson State and HBCUs. And I understand that. I got no problem with that, right? I got no problem with that. It's like politics. A lot of politicians are going to say and do a lot of things, not because it's best for America, but it's because it's best for them and their constituents. And tribalism might be the most powerful factor in humankind. We talked about George Carlin earlier, right? He was like, people as individuals are amazing. People as individuals are amazing. People as a group are so susceptible to tribalism that we hurt ourselves. We hurt the overwhelming group for the sake of our little group. That's what Dion's doing here. Second, Lonzo said the reason Dion's saying this is NIL, right? If you go to a school and you get an NIL contract, Lonzo said you might stop working as hard. You might not put in the energy and the effort that would be required to get you to the league. I'm not saying that's untrue in every single case, but I cannot accept that it is as large of a problem as that made it sound to be, right? I can't imagine. What's the largest NIL deals we've got? Probably what? DJ with Dr. Pepper. Now Bryce with Dr. Pepper. Bojangles, etc. You think Bojangles is paying Seattle Seahawks money? You think if DJ came out this year and had an incredible year, a Heisman caliber year, Do you think Bojangles and Dr. Pepper are going to pay him what the Seahawks will pay him?
I think you're missing the point. All right, here's the thing. Think of you when you first went to college. Someone hands you $1 million.
I don't want to do that.
No, you should, because that's why this applies. Someone hands you $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
You got $1 million. Why? Let's say you came from a poor family. Suddenly you've got a bunch of money. Someone just hands you a bunch of money. You don't really have to do anything for it except for play football. Then suddenly you might go a little soft. You may think, okay, this is enough. Why do I need anything else? Why do I need to keep pushing forward like I did to get here? Why do I need to continue? This is enough for me. And what's enough for one kid is not going to be enough for another. There are going to be some cases of kids getting paid and going, you know what? I'm good. And then they're going to have a problem because they're not going to have football to fall back on, because they're going to quit trying as hard as they used to try. They're going to quit trying to reach the goal, which is being able to take care of yourself and your family. And they're going to end up losing out because of that.
I would argue what I was trying to make the argument. Maybe I didn't get to my point as quickly as I should have. Number one, I would be willing to bet. I will agree. There are probably some kids who do that. I bet it's a vast minority. I bet it's a small percent, a fraction of kids who make NIL money, are going to make enough that they go, this is life-changing money, right? Like it's got to be life-changing money to get to that point. Number two, just based on statistics alone, the overwhelming majority of kids who make NIL ain't going to the show. They're not going to the league, right? 1.6% of college kids make it to the NFL. Statistically speaking, the number of kids who get an NIL contract of any size, 1.6%. Statistically, the number of NIL players ain't going to the show. Hooters just gave NIL money to 51 offensive linemen around college football. And I'm talking to big schools like Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Kansas, Nebraska. Statistically speaking, of those 51, one will go to the show. Now, more than that will go because they only focused on the top tier schools. But statistically speaking, one of them will go to the show. Statistically speaking, half of one of them will go to the show, but you can't do that. One of them. So I think to say NIL's bad, as Dion is saying, not Lonzo, but I think for Dion to say NIL is bad because it takes away the focus on the NFL for the 1.6% of kids who will ever go to it in the first place. And like I said, if a kid is NFL caliber and that's why he's getting NIL money, right? Again, if you look a kid in the face and you go, here's the deal. Dr. Pepper is going to give you $100,000 to sign an NIL with them. The signing bonus of a 7th round draft pick is over $100,000, right? That's just a dumb kid. Now, due respect to dumb kids, most of us were dumb. I literally just said I was.
That's the majority of kids are dumb kids.
Sure. But if you look and go, you know what? Dr. Pepper just gave me...
So we mean dumb in the sense of what to do with their money and things like that.
Right. Ignorant, not dumb.
Yeah, there we go.
We just use dumb because it's a funner radio word. But ignorant. And by the way, ignorance is not bad. Most of us are ignorant to most things. Ignorance is not bad. It is not an insult to say you are ignorant in regards to, right? Willful ignorance is bad. Avoiding information to update your opinion and beliefs, that is bad.
I know some people like that. That's how you get out of doing some jobs, because I just don't know how to do that.
Being ignorant is not bad. If I go, you are ignorant to what you're talking about, that's not bad. If somebody tells me, hey, Rob, you're ignorant about this, I don't take it as offensive. You're probably right. Willful ignorance is bad. If I go, I believe X, and I go, you're wrong because you're ignorant, because you don't have the data to believe X, that's okay. That's not an insult. But if I go, here's the data to why X is wrong, and you go, nope, I reject it. I still believe this. Unless you've got a valid reason to reject the data, you're willful or ignorant. That is bad.
And that's the whole point. Another point of this, and we've brought this up many times when we talk about this. Still, I mean, the data, we don't have that much, hardly any at all. And we're not going to know till 5 or 10 years down the road who's right about this if we know then.
Right. But I'll say this. A, that's not a reason not to let these kids. Well, it might be bad down the road. To me, is not a reason not to try something unless the overwhelming preponderance of evidence makes it more likely than not that something bad will happen. And so far, nobody has given me a preponderance of evidence to believe that NIL is bad. You've given me some reasons, right? You've given me some reasons to think, okay, maybe NIL isn't the best idea. But I can give you what I consider a much more thorough list as to why it's not. And the benefit of these kids is my number one argument on that. So if you get a 4-star QB and he's offered let's make up a number. Because for instance, DJ, we don't know what DJ's NIL money was, right? We don't know the contract he signed with Dr. Pepper. It never got made public. Let's say it's $100,000. Let's say it's $1 million. Let's say he got $1 million to play college football, right? $1 million. If DJ Uiagalelei gets drafted and is a backup quarterback in the NFL, 7th round pick, and gets drafted as a backup, and let's say he's a career backup in the league, he'll make $1 million in his first year between signing bonus, between roster bonuses, and salary. He'll make $1 million in his first year. I am not going to take NIL from the overwhelming amount of kids who will not make it to the NFL because there might be one guy who looks and goes, I got $1 million from Dr. Pepper, even though I would make 20 times that as a backup in the NFL. I'm going to stop trying now. Because the other aspect of it is this. You get $1 million from Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper does not determine your spot on the depth chart. It does not determine whether you keep your contract, your scholarship, your contract with the school, your scholarship. Dabo does, right? So if Dabo sees you get a check for $1 million and then you start softing it up out at practice, if you turn SAWFT soft out of practice, Dabo's going to sit you. And if he sits you, your NIL value drops significantly. And if you go totally SAWFT soft and you stop trying, you lose your scholarship. You got no NIL money. I'm not going to take the NIL contract from the 51 offensive linemen Hooters is giving money to because one of them might stop trying to make the league. I don't believe it.
You kind of proved the point though. You did, because that guy does that stuff and he loses all those things. What lesson did he learn? If you take someone's hunger, you take someone's drive away from them by giving them what they're striving for, a taste of what they're striving for, and they're like, okay, that's enough.
What point did I prove?
That this could and probably will happen, and it's not about.
I disagree with probably will happen. I disagree with you. You don't have any reason to believe that.
Sure I do. Probability is present in almost every aspect of life.
Sure.
A plane could and probably at some point will fall out of the sky and hit a building. It may not be this building.
So do we stop flying planes?
It may not be this building. Absolutely, because flying is evil, and that's why I don't do it. The thing is, NIL isn't going away. I think really what Deion's saying and other people like myself is it needs to be regulated. How it should be regulated, I don't know. But there's got to be a way to do that.
I'll tell you what, I'm fine with that. I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay with regulation. Question is, how are you going to regulate everything else? Don't tell me NIL should be regulated when booster money is not, right? It's okay to not regulate money that goes from boosters to the school, but we should regulate
booster money should be regulated, and $500 handshakes should be regulated. Sure. There's a lot of things that should be done. Some of those things are illegal, but NIL is legal now and subject to some sort of regulation.
Sure. I am fine with that. as long as you are cool with Ohio State boosters, cannot give unlimited money to Ohio State. There's a cap on it.
We're talking about money to players, not money to schools.
No. You don't get to
it's two totally different things. It is. It's two different
things.
things.
You don't get to dictate.
Two different things.
It's okay that we
Two different
don't
things.
regulate money that goes to a place that I'm good with it going, but we should regulate money going to a place that I don't like it going. That's not how this works.
And there was a
regulate
setup.
everything
It's two
or
different.
nothing.
It's two different things. It's
agree
two
with you.
totally different things. You're using something that's different to make your point, and it doesn't
you're
work.
Just declaring it different because then you get to say we don't have to regulate the thing I don't want regulated.
You just agreed it was different.
Right.
You did just do, and now you're saying that I declared it different, even though you just said it was different, and I
Because
agreed with
one is
you.
an organization and one is people. To me, people are on the same level as an organization. You don't get to say regulate NIL money but not booster money. That's not fair. That's not equitable, right? You either regulate money that goes to college football or you don't. It's all ending up in the same place, college football. It's just the recipient's different now. You don't get to say, don't regulate the recipients that I'm okay with receiving money, but regulate the ones I'm not okay with them receiving money. You either regulate everybody receiving money or nobody receiving money at all. That's how it works, right?
It's not how it works. But that's fine.
What if, right? I like your plain example. People flew planes into buildings as weapons, right? Did we immediately go, a couple of people use these planes for evil, we should ground planes? No.
No. Actually, we did ground planes.
For a couple of days. You're right.
No, it was more than a couple
In
of days.
the immediate vicinity of the issue, we did. We sure
No,
did.
it was everywhere.
You're sure
Everywhere was, yeah.
I didn't say in certain places. I said for a period of time, we grounded planes. You're right. And then we said, okay, now we're going to regulate everything. How would you feel? This issue is irrelevant to Lonzo, so I'll make it about me because that's what I do. How would I feel if I went to fly a plane and I had to go through all the TSA stuff? I got to take my shoes off. I got to take my belt off. I can't bring more than 3 ounces of liquid into an airport. There's all these rules, all these things you got to go through. Flying down to the Dominican was a nightmare because of all the rules and regulations, but I went through them all because safety, right? I'm good with it. But how would I feel if I walked into the airport and the CEO of the business next to me, he just got to go straight through, walk straight through, get on his plane, right? He's unregulated. And I went, why? And they go, well, just because. No, I'm not good with that. I'm not good with that. You don't get to regulate heavy hitters because you're comfortable with the system, but then regulate the little guy. No, you either regulate everybody or you don't regulate anybody at all. That's my argument. I think it's a good one. Texas said for the 1.2% that make the league, money is the second reason they make the league. Yes. Talent's the first. Texas says, Rob, this is all for the kids' benefit, right? And not my selfish reasons as a fan. Dion, it is selfish. I agree it's selfish, and I'm good with that. Texas said we just need to go back to the trust me, bro method of regulation. Yeah, trust me, bro, says Dion. Let's take a break. Back after this. Wrap it all up. The whole week on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. In an effort to improve the performance of our wide orbit audio scrubber, I will be Okay, that's at 1 o'clock. You're good. Never mind.
You wasn't going to put anything in it. Well, it might affect me, but I don't think it will because I'm done with a lot of stuff.
Sports Radio. Do like me some wings, etc.
Well, please don't change it in a way that that I have to do it.
Oh.
It's not that I'm shirking more work, but when
I
it's
just
something,
don't want to do
no, when something's already automated, and it's working fine, why? Rob will do a remote from almost anywhere. It doesn't mean that I would get to go though, because shorthanded and they don't like to let me out very often.
Because Lonzo does this thing where he puts his hair in front of his face and sneaks up behind people.
All right, here's the real deal. If you see me live with Rob somewhere, I had to fight for that. That's all I'm saying. I had to fight to get there.
I fight to bring Lonzo out to places. I like when Lonzo's on remote. It's more fun.
Lonzo likes it too because it's less work, and that's not a lazy thing. I know it sounds lazy.
Rob Jones.
They do let me out on occasion, lad. On occasion. No, it's a matter of personnel. It
really is.
It's not a whole lot of anything else. And sometimes I believe I'm talent, and they don't want that to happen because it's just another case of the man keeping me down. But it's all right.
Tired of the man.
Rob Jones is a guy who grew up in the upstate. He's been to several different states, done a lot of sports in all those places. He works in the WORD news department. He filled in for Cole several times last year, and he's already done one last week. I know because I was here, hence that personnel thing that I was talking about before. And I got to go in and do a new schedule that's going to make everybody mad at me. I mean, everybody. Well, all the producers will be angry with me. Yes. Including one that's on vacation. But he'll just have to deal with it.
We all just have to deal with it.
Yep. I will let you know if the guy who's showing up to possibly train this evening actually does show up on a light cycle, because I'm sure you're going to want to know where you can get one. Oh, yeah, look at that. Suddenly the week is over.
Just like that.
The last Twitter trending topics of the week. All right, so the week's not really over, but the week of this show is over. We got other stuff that we have to do.
Burns High School, Friday night high school football tonight at 7 p.m. I'll be on the call for that. Tomorrow, the Saturday morning scramble with Rob Jones. I'll be on the air for that. Are you doing that one tomorrow? Do we know yet?
At this moment, no.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Saturday morning scramble tomorrow. So Burns High School football, 7 p.m. Saturday morning scramble tomorrow, 8 to 10. Then Lonzo and I will be cutting the next episode of the Views from Mint Street podcast, which will drop first thing Sunday morning. Then I've got
Actually, it's going to drop tomorrow. It's going to drop tomorrow. As soon as we get done,
I will
have it in because
Beautiful.
It's supposed to drop tomorrow.
Beautiful.
So, there we go.
All right, so we'll drop that in the afternoon. Bet for the Cycle, my nationally syndicated baseball gambling show from 1 to 5. And then all the rest of the stuff for me is personal. But yeah, the next time I see you guys on Monday morning, I'll be tired.
He'll be tired. And I'm just going to be here all day today and then do that stuff tomorrow on the Upstate Pulse. So the first thing that's trending is Mason Rudolph.
Of course he is, because Aaron Donald decided to go dual-wielding barbarian Warhammer wielder, started popping bangles with their own lids on the unprotected dome. The last person to take that caliber of a beatdown was Mason Rudolph from Myles Garrett. Mason is somewhere right now having Vietnam War-style flashbacks at this point.
He absolutely is. The next thing that's trending is Bronny James.
Bronny James has decided, Lonzo, that he is going to take, and I assume this is why he's trending, take his first college visit, and it looks like the Ohio State University will be the destination of Braun Volume 2 as a college player. I still think there's a very good chance Papa Bear talks him into going straight to the show so that they can dance together.
LeBron is pretty, seems to be pretty behind him taking that visit because, he's from Ohio and,
Look,
there's that thing.
Braun has made some questionable decisions regarding his image and branding over the years, but he's also not a dumb businessman, which is why a lot of those decisions have come across as hypocritical. Bronny going to school is a decision I could absolutely see Braun Sr. being behind, without a doubt.
Go Buckeyes.
That's it, kids. We done for the week. Jim Rum's up next. Lonzo and Mark Ryan take you off sides at 3 to 7 p.m. Stay tuned because Burns High School football taking on Chapman today. I'll be on the call for that game this evening. Then tomorrow we got the next pod dropping and Saturday morning scramble 8 to 10 to catch you up. Have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Have a great weekend, guys. See you back here Monday. Love y'all. Mean it. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, stream, you bunch of P1s. Love you guys. You guys are the best. We'll see you back here on Monday.